Taking a bus is part and parcel of every day for millions of commuters in Lagos. But as the demand for transport services continues to skyrocket, infrastructural development is still lagging behind. To change that, Planet Project, a Lagos-based construction and urban renewal company, has started its journey to revolutionize transport in Nigeria's commercial capital. Arise correspondent Adefemi Akinsanya has been to the jewel in its crown, the Oshoi Bus Terminal, to see just how much value is being brought to an area many had written off as worthless.
If you know Lagos, you know this structure. The Oshodi Bus Interchange is a landmark people pass going to or coming from Lagos Airport, but it's also a vital part of the system of getting people to and from their destinations in Nigeria's commercial capital. Lagos is sub-Saharan Africa's biggest city. It's home to more than 20 million people, and with a natural population growth rate of up to 6%, that constitutes nearly half of Nigeria's entire workforce. Over the years, though, Nigeria's rate of infrastructural development has not paralleled that of its population growth, which has caused many industries to fall behind. Here in Lagos, transportation is one of them. So we've come to meet people in the business of changing the face of Lagos's transportation sector for the better. This is Abiodun Otowola. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Planet Project, the company responsible for building the Oshodi Bus Terminal, the largest of its kind in West Africa.
Yeah, well, it was a decision of Lagos State government, to transform Oshodi from the chaotic, highly congested, crime-prone environment, to a world-class environment. So, all over the world, anytime there's a lot of commercial activity, transport, they always work together, and then from that you can create a scenario environment, create a nexus that can then allow you to organize the transport system.
The terminal boasts a 3-story facility featuring 3 separate terminals linked by a skywalk bridge. It's built in between 2 important roads, the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway and the Agege Motor Road.
This took us about 2.5 years, so working day and night. And I can say to you that this is a proudly Nigerian project. So we are a Nigerian company, indigenous company, so this is a testament of what Nigerians can do if given the opportunity. And I can say to you that this project was commissioned April 24, 2019 by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. I came with about 6 governors. And since then, it's been a beehive of activities. Operations started officially, I think, May 2019. And since then, today, we're doing about 25,000 passengers every day. We then have 3 terminals, Terminal 1, Terminal 2, and 3. So Terminal 2 serves Lagos West, and then the eastern part of Lagos as well, which is Alimosho, Egbeda, and then Agege. While going to Lagos West, going to Mile 2, going to First Stack and Satellite Town, all of that is conducted here. Also, it connects the BRT, all the way to Abule Egba. So Abule Egba, also the BRT actually dovetailed into Terminal 2, which was flagged up by Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in 2020. So behind you there is Terminal 3. So Terminal 3 is for Lagos North, and then of course that Lagos South, which is the Lagos Island. So people going to Aja, Obalende, and the people that bought there, and then of course Ikorodu, Ojota, and so on. While to my right is Terminal 1, which is interstate. So the whole of the west, Lagos, go to Abeokuta, Ibadan, Osogbo, Akure, and then the east. So with the luxurious buses. So right now we can say confidently that if you are in Oshodi, indeed you can travel to the eastern and the western part of Nigeria. The northern part will also join very soon.
Oshodi has long had a notorious reputation. Petty theft and violent crime are a not too distant memory for many locals. But Otowola says the coming of the bus terminal has added value to an area many thought was worthless.
Yeah, it's very important to them. And the way to answer that is what happened during the NSAS. So one of the things we did during the construction, we created an inclusive system whereby we actually engage with the community. So we had a lot of stakeholder engagement, and we said, look, over 80% of people that will work on this terminal will come from the community. So over 1,000 workers at a time, all of them from this community, so they were earning their living. So they see it as part of their heritage, they see it as part of the pride. And because we haven't changed the name, also the name is a very popular brand all over the world. So we retain the name even after the construction. So they're happy, they feel a sense of ownership. So during the NSAS crisis, we have to activate these guys to say, oh, gentlemen, there's crisis in town, we have to protect it. And they rose to the occasion and protected it. So it shows to us clearly that these guys have accepted it as part of their own. And if you go around, you see a lot of them working here during the operation phase as well. So the people are happy generally. They haven't seen anything like this before. So if you see the level of attention, people coming here to take photographs, selfies, it's been quite a very interesting journey for us as well. And people are very happy.
And the passengers agree.
Well, Adefemi Akinsanya, the author of that report, is here with us to give us more, on-site information about the Lagos State Oshodi interchange, transport facility, the biggest in West Africa, yes. A hub, but what was the experience there like, visiting and reporting from there, a 3-story facility with 3 terminals, and then they plan to turn it into not just a transportation hub, but also a tourist attraction with hotels, with malls. Are the malls there now, or are the hotels there? Are the tech hubs there now, or this is part of the development process?
I think on its face it is very impressive. And for me personally, I had seen it but not really registered as to what it was. I almost felt like it was a defunct train station when I first passed under it. And so when we were told to go in and speak to the people who built the terminal, we understood that it is focused on road travel. And it is very impressive. There's a lot of space there. And so you can see that the architecture is very modern. There are ticketing booths. They care about making the entire process of travel very seamless for passengers and for the drivers themselves. So you have 3 different terminals and they service different routes within Lagos, interstate travel. And indeed, the plan is to move to a situation where they be able to facilitate travel out of Nigeria as well. That being said, there are little bits that are a bit confusing. So if you're a passenger and you're literally on your feet, it's very hard to understand how you can get from these different terminals on your feet. There isn't a very clear pathway for a lot of passengers when you do get there. So I think with urban planning, it is a good thing, most especially in a city like Lagos, but it also has to make sense to the climate that you're in. And I think that while the Planet project construction companies and the people who work there are very proud of the project, as they should be, there has to still be a way that it serves its intended purpose, which is to make transport easier. And sometimes when you go bigger, it might not be as easy to facilitate your movement across the state. That being said, Oshodi itself, as I said in the report, did have a very notorious reputation. And with the coming of this project, they are trying to give it a bit of a facelift. But sometimes when you put makeup on top of a sore, the sore itself is still there. You still have people who feel slighted by the coming of this terminal. You've got, I don't know if we were able to hear it before we had the technical issue, but we did speak to women who worked in the market, which was on the land that they now used for the terminal itself. And she says that while she's happy that, if it rains, they do let them find shelter in the terminal, there's a huge disparity, and they don't feel as though they've reaped the benefits from all of this construction. So it is bittersweet. It's a good thing to have good transport options, but it also has to serve everybody. There are also issues about the costs of buses, which isn't, to be honest, it isn't the construction company's issue at that point, but that was definitely the consensus with people that we spoke to. People talking about fares for 150 naira, now they're 300 naira and the like. In terms of the long-term plans, as you said, it is to turn the terminal into a tourist hub. However, I don't know how that would work. I don't know how the three of you would feel about that, but definitely you can see that there is a lot of space that can be taken up. And when I spoke to Mr. Odunola, he did say that there are many hospitality businesses who are already fighting for a place to open up a kiosk throughout the 3 terminals. And naturally, there's going to be a lot of foot traffic. Millions of people will be passing through there every day once it becomes completely fully functional. And I can imagine that that would be something that many businesses would want to take advantage of. You've also got commercial banks wanting to put up ATM kiosks and the like there. So, I mean, it's good news for, I guess, the business aspect of Oshodi and definitely for passengers, but I wonder if everybody is happy with how how it's been constructed.
And it is important that everybody should be happy, all the stakeholders.
For sure.
But I think it's got great potential, and I think, it can indeed be a tourist attraction, for a lot of people, especially on the mainland. But it's just about dragging that necessary, hospitality investment. I foresee having cinemas in here. I foresee having movie previews in there.
That is the plan.
I foresee having a lot, sort of like art galleries and things like this in there. If you pack that place full and the price is right and the numbers are good, I think it can indeed be that,
I hope so.
Because it's a big infrastructure.
It is. It's huge. It's massive, in fact. And it is a bit disappointing that we weren't able to watch all of it, because you get to see a lot of the open spaces that they want to use for technology hubs, for example, that they want to use for open-air cinemas, that they want to use for restaurants. And I can imagine once they do get to that point, it would be a good thing. However, it's about getting there. And also, one thing that seems to be common in, not just in Lagos, but indeed Nigeria, is the longevity of structures. How can we make sure that these things are as beautiful and serve their purpose for as long as possible? We have to make sure
maintenance culture. But let me make this point. First, I think this should be recorded as a legacy of the Akinwumi Ambode administration in Lagos State. First, he was the one that commissioned it in May 2019, I think, before he left office. And it is good to see that there is continuity in Lagos State. You don't find that in many states. The present governor has taken up some of the projects of the Ambode administration, and he has consolidated on them. He has completed some of them. So, that's how it should be. In some other states, some governors will come in and say, oh, that's my predecessor. I don't want him to receive any part of the praise. But we haven't seen that in Lagos, whether with regard to this Oshodi terminal, or with regard to the flyover at Abule Egba, or the flyover at Penn Cinema. So continuity in policy execution, I think, helps. And Lagos, from Ambode to Sanwo-Olu, would seem to have been setting a very good example.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for this great report, our intrepid Adefemi.
Oh, thanks.